Alrighty, boys and girls, girls and boys, welcome back to another live stream here on TA with MK. My name, of course, is MK, hence the MK. TA because we're a technical analysis channel by nature, but we do discuss other things, obviously, on the channel. We've got quite a few things lined up for you today, but before we jump into all that, it's been a bit since I streamed, so anybody that's out there, Rigo, if you're still there, just a sound check. Let me know if you can hear me okay, if the music's there, if it's too loud. I haven't streamed in a couple weeks, probably actually a month or more, really, since I last streamed, so not entirely sure if everything's still set up right. I probably should have ran a test I intended to get off work about an hour ago, but of course that didn't work out that way. Never is the case. But anyway, if you're brand new to the chat, to the stream, smash that like for me. I do appreciate it. Obviously helps a ton for my channel, which I want to throw a quick thank you out to everybody that has subscribed to the channel thus far. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers, which was a big time goal of mine, and we reached it. In fact, I think we're sitting at like 1,070 now, so we got a little buffer in case a bunch of people wake up and decide they don't want to be part of the channel anymore. So again, like I said, we got Rigo in the chat, or at least we did. He says, in his opinion, we need to be patient, and picking the right coin is going to be tough, but he thinks that money can still be made. Which is one of the topics we'll be talking about. Just my opinion. Really, at the end of the day, that's all these are. It's just my own opinion. Which, you can take it, leave it, that's up to you. But over here to the left, if you're new to my stream, before I dive into the content, I always have the topics up that I'll be discussing. So over here to, my left, or your left, my right, we've got, what's up, Rigo? We've got Bitcoin. We're just going to talk a little bit about where I think we are overall in the cycle, or just kind of, where we would be from a date standpoint, kind of. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk. Hey, Joe is in the house. What's up, Joe? For those of you that are here, or those of you that will watch this later, you'll want to check out Joe's channel. It's Trade Intuition. You can find it on YouTube. He'll probably leave a link here for you too, but it's Trade Intuition. He has a great channel, lots of good videos. He posts several daily. He keeps up pretty good. And then he also streams once a day at, I believe, 3 o'clock Eastern time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but I believe it's at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And he streams every day, and it's super interesting. He usually, kind of discusses what Bitcoin's up to and a few things, and then he does a little gem hunting, looks at charts based on what some of the chat wants to check out. Just a solid dude, and a good friend of mine in the crypto world, at least. And 3 p.m. Eastern daily. He does. Yeah, daily's correct. I don't know how many days do you even miss any days? Do you do the weekends as well, Joe? Usually I've got my son and I'm pretty busy on the weekends, but I feel like you do every single day. Is there a day you take off, or not really? I plan on trying to get back to doing 2 days a week. I think I had more ambition than that initially. Decided to get back to making some videos for a bit. Also, of course, just life is busy with my baby and stuff, so I had to take a little bit of a break, or at least slow down a little bit. But I think we've got things settled down now to where what I plan to do is Tuesdays and Thursdays. I've kind of found out that those days work the best for me. I'll try to post some sort of a schedule on my channel. And of course, I'll always just let you guys know early in the day if I'm going to be going live, but tentatively, that's what I'm going for. Occasionally, I'd like to do a Friday stream as well, but it would just be more like a chill stream, maybe have a drink, listen to some of my crypto raps for those of you that haven't listened to those. I don't know if you've ever listened to those, Joe. I know that Rigo's been around long enough in my group that he's listened to most of those, and they're pretty ridiculous, but they are funny. Just songs that I've made about different cryptos, just spin-offs of songs like Justin Bieber's Baby. I've got like Who Let the Dogs Out, but Who Let the Doge Out. I've got a bunch of songs on my channel that I would like to just stream one night, play them, talk a little bit about them, have a drink, laugh. In fact, I want to make a few more because they're pretty fun to make. But again, those of you that are watching this later, or if you're here now, do me a favor, smash that like. I also want to kind of shill a couple of things. I have a Telegram group. The link for that is in the description of this video. It's in the description of every video I put out, completely free. About 60 members, maybe 15 or so that are fairly active, maybe only like 10. A lot of the guys in there only chime in once in a while, but we have about 10 of us that chime in fairly frequently. We can just discuss the market, bounce ideas off each other, things of that nature. So see that link in the description, check it out. Besides that, again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Obviously, that does me a big favor. In fact, we'll go ahead and toss that up there for you. Boom. Click that like, subscribe, all of that. Share, of course, if you're ever so willing to do that. And then, again, Trade Intuition, which is Joe's channel. He's in the chat right now. Check out his channel. It's very valuable as well. Other than that, how's everybody doing today? Before I dive into things, anybody got anything they want to add on how your day went, or your personal opinion on the market? I missed your stream, of course, today, Joe. I don't know, what did you talk about in your stream today? Did you guys just go over coins, or did you say the market's going to the moon or to hell, or what did you tell your peeps? Joe's like, I'm not sharing that. You got to show up to my actual stream if you want that insight, right? I'll check back on the chat in a minute, though. Like I said, if you're new, one other thing I wanted to share is one thing that I'm pretty proud of. In fact, we'll go over it here in just a minute. In fact, we could probably go over it now. Let me hop over to my camera real fast. Let's bring up my YouTube channel. So I came up with this formula. Well, I didn't really come up with the formula. The formula has just always existed. It's just the way that you figure out the price of coins is based on, you know, the market cap of the coin, the circulating supply, that gives you a price. But what I did come up with was a Google Sheets document that I put together that I've been making videos about, which are just price predictions. And initially I planned to do all of the top 100 coins. I kind of got burnt out at a certain point. I think I made like 40 or so. Obviously, a lot of the top 100 coins are just either exchange coins, which I don't really feel like making videos about, or they're like things like Tether, you know, stable coins basically, or exchange coins. So I did most of the main ones. There's a few coins like XLM I never got to. Things like that, but I just wanted to kind of show those real quick, that if you haven't checked those out, I think they're pretty cool. I want to say Joe's even went out of his way before to tell me, Joe, that is from Trade Intuition, told me that he, you know, thinks they're pretty cool too, and a lot of work went into putting this together. And I won't, you know, go into too much detail of exactly what it is, but later in this live stream, I might pop up my Google Sheets document here. This is also in the link in the description of all of the links in the description, sorry, of all of my videos that I put out to do with price predictions. I don't think I put, and I usually pin the comment as well, or pin it as a comment. I don't put that link, obviously, in my live streams necessarily, but if you check out any of those price projection videos, so for example, if you clicked on this one here that says Pepe, it's going to have that link there. And basically, I just come up with price projections using the estimated circulating supply for these coins, kind of where I think they could end up position ranking wise. And this is something that you guys can actually use. I've made this shareable. You can't edit it, but you can look at it. And all you could, what you can do is come in here. You can take a coin and say, well, I think it could end up at this rank, or maybe you just take the rank it's currently at. So say something like, ADA or Cardano sitting at position 12 or somewhere right around there right now. You could look over here and say, okay, here's the different Bitcoin potential prices. You go down, you find the market caps. These are billions up here, 35.2 billion, for example, 91K, position 12, 32.7 billion. You could take that. Over here to the right is what the actual formula is. Now, if you already have an idea of where you think the position could be, which is of course giving you a market cap, then you can apply that by taking the market cap, dividing it by the circulating supply. Now, that's the part I always mention in my videos does take a little bit of digging, because you need to figure out if there's unlocks coming up. This is all part of the tokenomics of the coin, the vesting schedule, things like that. And sometimes they're not as transparent as other times. In fact, there's been a few of my videos I've really struggled to come up with what what's circulating supply will likely be, but I do my best. Some of them are very transparent. You can figure it out pretty easily. But you'll take that market cap, divide it by a circulating supply, and it gives you prices. So anyhow, I just wanted to kind of mention that those are some videos that I'm pretty proud of. Let's hop back over here to this screen for a minute, and I'll catch up on the chat real quick. Looks like Joe says he stayed up all night trading, took a 1-hour nap, then went live. Trading, really? Leverage trading, I'm guessing, and or just swing trading, buying, selling. He says, I was going to take a nap, but trading APT and BT. Oh, he answered that before. He answered my question. He's using high leverage, just in and out, just to have some fun. Are you practicing some more for that game that you did? So Joe is part of this game they had on a YouTube channel. I can't remember what was it called, like Trade Wars or something. And they go in there and they trade on like the 1-minute time frame. And maybe he can leave a link in the chat for that. There's a video that was posted to the channel that did that, and Joe took part in that and actually performed pretty well. Trade Intuition is gangsta with the trades, says Rigo. And that's true. I mean, Joe's been doing this for a long time, so that's why, again, I'll say check out his channel, Trade Intuition. You know, he knows what he's talking about, and he actually has a paid group. Of course, he always mentions in his videos that if you want to learn for free, you can just watch his videos, because he, you know, shares a lot of his information through those. But he also has a paid group that you can join, and he actually gives, you know, teaches you how to trade, of course, but then he shares his thought process with you, which I think is important. And, you know, he'll put out actual trades. Now, he makes it very clear that he may only put out 1, you know, 2 a day. He's not like a lot of these other channels that post 42 charts and, you know, maybe 2 of them play out, and those are the ones that they later mention, you know, or toot their own horn about. You know, he posts, and you know, he'll show his winners, he'll show his losers. It's a pretty, I'm not part of his paid group. At some point I probably will join it, but you know, I was in a group with him previous where he was an admin, and I know kind of what kind of charts he posts and how good of a trader he is, so I can speak just from that. That was a different paid group that we were both part of previously. And anyway, he says, Trading Wars only lasted 3 shows. My internet was messing up, but the trades were also bad. But my trades were also bad. So I'm out of the show, but love the show. Hey, you know what? I don't know that that I would be able to do one. I mean, those low time frame trading, that's just a different beast. Probably about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, in my in the Telegram group, I would often track Bitcoin on the small time frames, and I'd post updates, and I was leverage trading, usually not high leverage, but you know, 5, 10x max, which I guess that's high leverage to me, but I don't know if you're talking 20 or 25x when you say high, but that takes a lot of, you know, time. It really does. You have to stare at the chart the entire time. You got to have about 3 different time frames up so you can kind of know what the overall trend is, because typically on the smaller time frames you're still trading, you know, at least I always still traded with the overall trend, so you'd have to sit and kind of wait for, you know, or, you know, price to come down or up to wherever you were hoping to open a trade. And like you said, in and out real quick. Stop losses are trickier on those small time frames because you're using higher leverage. It's just it's a whole different beast. But anyway, once again, the topics we're going to go over, we'll go ahead and dive into. We've got Bitcoin. That's where we'll start. So I'll go ahead and hop over here to my actual chart for Bitcoin. And let me go ahead and open up my fancy little topic number 1. So if you're new to the channel, or new to my live streams, I mean, on the top left is actually whichever topic I'm currently talking about, which in this case is Bitcoin. Where are we? Now, I'm not going to talk much about like the actual price action right now. I did mention, probably been almost a month ago now, but at least 2-3 weeks ago, in fact, for sure, beginning of August when we had this big dip. Let's switch over to the daily. That I was under the opinion that this dip, or this consolidation period, could last anywhere, in my opinion at least, from 1 to 2 months. Maybe even a little longer. You know, that was just, I think, the bare minimum, in my opinion, was at least a month. And so that actual dip, we'll try to zoom in here so you can see this, but that big dip that we just had was actually only a couple weeks ago. It's about 15 days ago. It happened on the 5th of August on a looks like it happened on a Monday. And Bitcoin, obviously, this is the USD chart, so it's not, I was on this chart just because it has the most price action as far as historic price action, dating clear back to like almost Bitcoin's beginning. And so this isn't really the best chart to look at for trading. I usually use Binance's USDT chart. So I think it went lower than this. This shows 49,600. I believe it went a little lower than that, but maybe not. But anyhow, obviously it recovered pretty quick, but we still haven't put in any sort of a higher high yet. Typically, at least in my experience, we're more likely to get a higher low first, but we'll see. Right now, basically ever since we topped, we've just had a series of highs, you know, lows, lower highs, lower lows. You know, these are about the same high as this, but definitely not higher. Once again, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. So really at this point, the question, at least in the short term or mid-term, depending on how you look at it, which to me would be over the next several weeks, is at what point will we either see, you know, this break down further, or, you know, what I think is most likely to happen is just consolidation before maybe finally pushing back up towards the top. Now, when the higher low happens, which is what I think will be the beginning of all this, you won't know it's a higher low, initially. And what I mean by that is price action, this could have been the higher low if, or sorry, I guess not that one, but, like right here compared to this one, had this actually kept going up, that might have been the beginning of the recovery. However, it rolled over and went lower. So you're not going to necessarily know. And in my opinion, you're just going to have to kind of trust once we talk about where I think we're at in the bull run, use your own, opinion on this and do your own research. But you're just going to have to kind of trust that if you're not in the market, but you're wanting to get in, or you have more money you want to allocate, that the dips are worth buying. You got to be cautious, of course. And sometimes it's not a bad idea to just wait for a bigger trend change. So for example, maybe you just wait, you'll have to pay higher prices, but maybe you just wait till we get the higher high and confirm, basically a new high. That wasn't the best example. Actually, I'd rather see it break above the all-time high. That's one way to play it. The way that I'm currently playing it, I don't know about Joe, 77x leverage. Holy crap. Sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat. I broke my train of thought there, but just noticed that Joe said he was trading with 77x leverage. Holy crap. So you just lean over and fart, and then all of a sudden you look back and your trade's already either in profits by 100%, or you lost it and it liquidated, huh? That's stressful. I don't think I've ever traded higher than 20x. At least with more than like 10 bucks. I think I've done 100x trades just for the heck of it with like $5, which I don't think I've ever even done well on something that high. But the leverage that I used to trade with on the lower time frames was 10x, and that was stressful enough. 77x is pretty crazy. But go back to what I was saying is, basically, in my opinion, we're more than likely, we could even visit the lows one more time. Maybe we put in a slightly higher low than this one back here, or maybe we even put in a brand new low and eventually it ends up being kind of like a bear trap that winds up being the recovery. Either way, to me, it's kind of a waiting game at this point, unless you just want to buy the dips. Maybe you haven't gotten the market yet and you're just, each time it dips, back into the 50s, maybe allocate a little bit to some of your favorite coins. But again, where are we at? So that was just kind of some short time frame price action that we're looking at. But the bigger picture is, these aren't dead on because I put these on last night on the weekly, but they're close. These blue vertical lines on the chart are the halving dates, or at least close, within a week or so. So in 2020, we had one in May, and obviously, yeah, and then earlier this year, of course, in April, mid-April-ish, we had this, halving. And I think unless you're brand new to crypto, I think everybody knows that this cycle has been different as far as the way Bitcoin's price has, reacted as far as the halving goes. In previous cycles, and especially the last cycle, Bitcoin obviously put in its high after, or it broke and put in a new all-time high after the halving. This particular cycle, it put in a new high before the halving, but in my opinion, I don't know that that really matters. At least to me, it doesn't. I do think that the Bitcoin ETFs played a huge role this cycle, and of course, driving price up early. Some of the bigger institutions, obviously Wells, things of that nature, took advantage of the buy the rumor, sell the news, and it didn't sell off right away. Of course, when those launched, like in January, price went up after that for several months until it topped in March. So we had like 3 months, more than that really when you consider the bottom, of straight up. I think it was January or something like that when the ETFs were approved. January, February, somewhere in there. I probably should have looked that up, but I know that when that was approved, that the price continued to go up. But in my opinion, it's still the reason why this cycle has looked different. I think I put out on one of my videos recently that my opinion on why the double top happened last cycle, which was of course a break in trend from previous cycles there, was because of the Coinbase going public. Coinbase was going public, price was driving up, and really it probably should have pulled back and had a little bit more of an organic, move up like this, and maybe even put in a higher, price than it did last cycle. But you had all these people that were a part of that trying to push price up, and literally the day that Coinbase went public, I believe it was like literally the day, this topped for the first time. And then, of course, over the next few weeks, it had a giant pullback. And then, it launched again, ultimately putting in essentially a double top. It did put in a slightly higher high, but that was kind of your first break in the 4-year cycles. But what I wanted to talk about when I say, the topic that we're on, which is where are we, I think that from a timing perspective, we're doing just fine. And what I mean by that is, okay, so from the top of the last bull run to right now, where are we? We're sitting at more or less 1,015 days. I don't know if you can see that very good on your end there, but so basically 1,015 days, give or take a few days. I'm on the weekly chart, so it's probably off by a day or two. Now, where would we have been last cycle on 1,015 days? Well, we would actually have been post-COVID. COVID would have happened, a few months before that. COVID happened in March. This would be September, so about 3 months later. Actually more than that. April, May, June, July, like 6 months later. But anyway, so sometime in September, we were sitting at around $10,000. So Bitcoin hadn't even broken out to new all-time highs yet, which, like we said, this cycle is different. But the point is that as far as your 4-year cycle goes, which a lot of people do believe crypto tends to fall within, and I still think it'll fall pretty close to that when it's all said and done. I think a lot of this stuff that happens in the short term or throughout the cycle just kind of scares people in and out of positions because it's doing something different than the previous cycle. And I just think that's going to happen even the next bull run. I think next bull run, maybe we don't see an all-time high until after the halving again, and then maybe we have a triple top, or who knows. Every cycle to me on what happens between point A being the previous cycle's top and point B being that current cycle's top is going to look different. It really is. There's going to be different narratives. There's going to be different things going on that are driving the price either up at certain times. Of course, there's also what's going on with the economy, which, in the short term, for sure, affects price action. We're not even going to talk about the S&P 500 right now, but of course, it had a large pullback, which, drug Bitcoin along with it. But, there's news coming out that there could be a rate, not a hike, but the opposite of that, a rate cut. Possibly as early as September, which would be next month when they have the FOMC meeting. Will that happen? For sure. I wouldn't say it's definitely 100% by any means, but a very high likelihood that we at least see one before the end of the year. Will that drive price up right away? Usually not. Usually whatever news comes out, I've noticed that the market likes to go the other way first. A lot of people like to tell you, oh, it's because it was priced in, which, is probably true. To me, it's just literally more to fake out just people that don't know what they're doing, because every time someone that's new to the markets sees bullish news, what do? They buy. Well, then they get punished for buying, and that's just my opinion. There's definitely more to it than that, but I do think that there's a lot of positive things on the horizon. The question is, how much longer are we going to go sideways / down? How much lower will we go? And that's just not something that I'm that worried about paying attention on the day-to-day. I'm currently been buying the dips, which we'll talk a little bit about. Some of the coins I've been looking at when we get to the later in my topics, as far as picking the right coins is what I titled it. And that'll be kind of your own opinion as well, using your own research, but I'm just going to kind of give some examples of the coins I've been looking at. But I wanted to point out that, number one, if you just go off of the days into the cycle, we're probably sitting just fine. Another thing I want to point out is that post-halving, last cycle, we really didn't start breaking out and going parabolic till, 200 and some odd days after the halving. Right now, like I said, this isn't exactly the day of the halving, but mid-April, where would that project to put us? Well, basically, beginning of December. Well, what does that also line up with? The election, at least here in the United States. So typically Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, not typically, every time, Bitcoin's 4-year cycles have literally fallen towards the 3rd year of their cycle is election year. And of course, it seems that typically with Bitcoin, once we get closer to the election, sometimes it's right before it, we see price start to go crazy, which would have been the case last cycle. Sometimes it's after, but pretty much, it's not a guarantee, nothing's a guarantee, but in my opinion, we're really just waiting for that. We're waiting for the end of the year. The dust will have to settle once whoever gets elected gets elected. I've been on record giving my opinion a little bit on who I would prefer to be elected for crypto's sake. This isn't a channel where we discuss politics, but just for hoping to pump my bags, the guy that's got the funny red hair, that's kind of who I'm rooting for. But I do believe even if it goes the other way, the S&P 500, traditional stocks, everything performed well under Biden as well. So even if Harris or whatever Kamala gets elected, I don't think that that's going to hurt us. I think it'll change, in my opinion, when the cycle ends, and maybe possibly how high it goes. But I still think the cycle will continue on as planned. Maybe you just see a pullback for a little while at the beginning of 2025 before ultimately the blow off top. So Bitcoin, that's kind of what I wanted to discuss about that. Let's check up with chat. It doesn't look like I've missed anything. Joe's last thing he did was a smiley face and a funny, crazy face. For those of you that are, either joined the chat or will watch this possibly later, once again, do me a huge favor. Hitting the like button does, a huge favor for me as far as these videos go. Getting more people out to watch it helps me to grow the channel, which, is definitely a good thing. So I hope everybody's doing good here on a Tuesday. Let's hop over to topic number 2. Let's see, we gotta close that one out. Okay, alts underperforming. Now, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I just want to point out a few things. Now, I say we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I tend to get a little long-winded, so we probably will spend more time than I just said. But now, in my opinion, when people say that alts are underperforming, I think really, realistically, it depends on the altcoin, but I think that the overall sentiment for that, or at least what people are typically talking about when they say that, is the dinosaur coins. And what I mean by dinosaur coins is coins like Cardano, and a dinosaur in that it's been around for at least 4 or more years. It was here for the last cycle in Cardano's case. Now I don't know if this chart shows its whole history, but it at least goes back to 2018. So you're talking about 6 years this coin's at least been around. I don't know when Cardano launched, but at least on Binance it launched in 2018. And so you're looking at a coin that's been around for that long. And as of last night, when I was working on a video, I don't know if you can see this very good on your guys' end, but I'll zoom in a little bit. But as of last night, at least, from the bear market lows, Cardano's only currently sitting like 50% up. So to a lot of people, that would be underperforming, and obviously not doing very good compared to what people would expect out of a coin like Cardano, right? Or ADA. Even at its peak of what it did this bull run, when it ran back in March, it was only up about 260%. You can look at coins like DOT would be another good example, because it's never really had a run outside of just the run that every coin sort of had back in March. Same thing, but even a little bit worse. 26% up from the bottom is all that it is right now. And when I say bottom, again, I just mean the bear market lows. So in this case, it's just the 2 times that it touched down here, at around $3 and whatever. That was that would be the bear market low. That had been supposedly what you would think was the best time to buy, but really right now you're only 26% higher than that. And it even peaked at 225% is the best it's done so far. And we can give example after example. Some of the coins have done a little better. XRP has done a little better. As of last night, at least, it was 108% up from its bear market lows. 221% was where it peaked. Also, this was actually in July when it peaked. I think it had some bullish news that had to do with why that one pumped. AVAX, different. Now, all these coins are, of course, I said I consider them dinosaurs only because they were part of the last bull run, and in some cases were launched, even before that. But they're all different sectors. Well, not all different sectors, but I'm giving you examples from different sectors. Like AVAX is a gaming coin, right? So, of course, gaming performed a little better earlier in this bull run. It's up currently about 150% from the bear market lows, so doing a little better. $8 to 22 is almost a 3x if you bought it at the literal bottom. And it peaked at about 650%, so better. But still, I think people would maybe expect more out of that, but that might be a little more in line. Doge, another good example of a coin that earlier in the bull run fit the narrative of meme coin. It's kind of the daddy. Well, it's not kind of. It is the daddy of the meme coins. And from its bear market low, it's up about 100%. So basically a 2x. 350% was kind of where it peaked, which was also part of that same March rally when Bitcoin was putting in its all-time high. So I just wanted to kind of give some of those examples. Now, this might not be the prettiest looking thing I put together here, but I just wanted to point out that I put some data together last night just on a couple of coins, or at least a few rankings, just to point out that I don't think we're that much different than last bull run really at this point. Right here I put, for example, that 1,015 days into the last cycle, so we're referring to last bull run at this point. We were sitting at about 328.43. This is the total, meaning that it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the altcoins. We had about $330 billion out of what eventually became $3 trillion, of course. We were about 11% of the way there, so everything basically 10x'd from that point. Not everything, sorry, the crypto market cap 10x from that point. Of course, that was dispersed amongst Bitcoin and Ethereum and different to each coin, but the overall market cap saw a 10x of all crypto. We come down here, and this is what I want to point out. So positions 5, 6, and 7, again, this was 1,015 days into last cycle. 5, 6, and 7 had $11 billion between those three positions, which made up about 3.35% of what was the total at that time, which again was this 328 billion. Well, at the end of the bull run, they doubled. So that's really all they did from this point forward. The large caps, of course, we know as the bull run goes on that they're going to go up, but most of the gains on those had already happened, at least the big gains, because once a coin starts to get a little heavier, it takes more money to move them, of course. So that's kind of where it ended, which we'll compare it to this bull run here in a minute. But positions 11, 12, and 13 were about $7.6 billion, which made up about 2.3%, almost 2.5% of the overall crypto market cap at that point. And it ended basically right there. I mean, it still went up. Everything went up, like I said, but it wasn't like those positions got more money thrown at them, you know, relative to the other positions. They stayed pretty similar. And then I even decided to check out like positions 98, 99, 100. Let me stop real quick, catch up on something that was in the chat here. It says, they will be surprised when it goes up Q4, in my opinion. I agree. I think those of us that have been sitting here watching crypto mostly day to day, or at least checking in on it every few days, at least once a week, through the bear market, through this whole rally, we often lose touch with the fact that just because we were retail at one point, whether that was, you know, last bull run or you know, before that, that, you know, we think that it's that the cycle's not doing well, or that's just underperforming, and that maybe it's going to end early. And I think that's just emotions playing, you know, getting in the way, because we're staring at it all the time. We're waiting. You know, whereas typically when you enter crypto, it's because you're retail and you got excited because someone told you about it. And, you know, by the time you're entering, at least I can speak, for example, from Rigo, because he mentioned that when he joined crypto, or when he got into crypto, everything was going up like crazy. You know, I don't think he joined right at the top, but he, you know, when Rigo got into crypto, that was when it was the exciting part, right? So, you know, that's what most of our memories are. When we first got in, we saw our portfolios going up, and when they don't go up as fast, which has been, you know, the case for a lot of us that are either holding coins from last bull run. Thankfully, I don't have too much of that myself, but I know a lot of guys are holding on to those coins we talked about, like AVAX, ADA, blah, 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 higher prices, and just waiting, you know, patiently for, you know, a rally to either at least break even or hopefully make some money. And each day that goes by, it just tests your patience, you know, more and more. But anyway, so positions 98, 99, and 100 made up 250 million. That was just under, you know, not even quite 1% of all of the total, 0.076. And so then I want to compare that kind of to this cycle, and I'll blow this up a little bit more to where you can see it better. Let me see if I can get this a little better for you. So then into this cycle, we're currently sitting at obviously significantly higher. We're at 2.181 trillion, which is, you know, significantly higher than the 328 billion that we were here. crypto's seen a giant, quite a bit of growth since then. Of course, Bitcoin itself is a 6x since that $10,000 that we were at that point. Now we're over 60, or right around 60, I guess just under, but we'll just say right about 60. Bitcoin is over $1 trillion just by itself. Here's the total with 3, which is all of the altcoins, not including Ethereum. Now, you come down here, and here's the comparison. So positions 5, 6, and 7 this go around are actually making up 6.2% of the total, which if we go back up here, you can see that I was only making up 3.35%. Well, so basically that means that some of your larger cap coins, or at least the ones that have moved up to 5, 6, 7, 5 specifically is Solana, I believe, if it's still sitting there. And that's been kind of an outlier this particular bull run compared to some of the other coins that were around last bull run. It's actually really performed well. And so more money is actually in those 3 positions this bull run than there was last bull run. Positions 11, 12, and 13, 35 billion, which makes up about 1.6%. So that's actually a little bit less than last bull run. So you can see that the distribution of money has just changed a little bit, but you add those 2 percentages together, we're kind of right in line of where we were. Positions 98, 99, and 100 make not quite 1%, barely higher than the 0.076% that we looked at right here. So I guess what I wanted to point out here is that to me, not a whole lot is different. One of the biggest differences actually is just that more money's in Tether, which just means there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, either waiting for bigger dips or just fearful, not wanting to participate at the moment until higher prices. But I think that's their loss, our gain. I think now is the time to be looking at potentially some of the coins you want to get into, even if we do get lower prices, because if you sit and wait too long and things start to go crazy, it's harder to pull the trigger, in my opinion, when prices are just going up and up and up, because then you start waiting for the dips that either never happen or you buy into pumps, which is never a good idea. It's just more stressful. So anyway, I wanted to kind of point that out, and then now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is, can we still make money? Which I think is the answer is an emphatic yes. I really do believe that there's still a lot of money to be had. This will tie hand in hand with my 4th topic, which is going to be talking about picking the right coins. And the reason why I think that that's going to be so important is because the distribution of money as it comes into crypto, and from this point forward, you're going to see I can't tell you exactly which coins are going to pump, or else I'd have that magic crystal ball. But you're going to see, obviously, that whatever narratives decide to take over, for example, meme coins took over the first half of this bull run. I think at this point, meme coins, this is just my opinion, and I'm completely fine being wrong, but I don't think they're going to do as well the second half of this bull run as they did the first half. Now, there's going to be outliers. There's going to be the ones to do with obviously the election, whether it's Trump coin or Kamala coins or whatever, that obscure coins that are hard to find anyway. You got to buy them on Solana or something, and those will have their crazy pumps, and people might talk about those. But when we're talking about retail, once retail enters, which I pointed out in a video that I made here a few weeks ago, that really retail came in more on this second move. And the reason why we know that is because altcoins on the second move last bull run, this is when they saw their bigger growth. This first pump was more about Bitcoin, which was evidenced by the Bitcoin dominance chart, which we can go over here in just a minute. But really, more money poured into Bitcoin. Like I said, Coinbase was getting ready to go public. That played a role in it as well. But ultimately, when you had this double top, it wasn't like everything rallied, everything crashed, everything rallied. Yes, everything went up a little bit during this first rally. Anytime Bitcoin's going up, almost everything goes up, at least some with it. But this is really what was the big pump. And so, in my opinion, where we are right now is kind of similar to where Bitcoin probably was right when it was at 20K. We're sitting just under all-time high. That would be relative to like the end of the year last bull run. And all I mean by that is as far as what potential gains we could have. Yes, some of the bigger gains, or at least from the bear market lows on some of your coins like Solana, the majority of their, I guess, X gains have already happened. You know, if you're going to 10x a coin like Solana, Bitcoin's probably going to need to break 150K or more, which is possible. But and even then, I wouldn't necessarily bank on Solana doing a 10x from here just because Bitcoin does that, but it's possible. But if we're modest with what we think Bitcoin can do, which let's just say 90K, 100K, well, then we can kind of look back here at the total, and we can say, okay, at some point, you know, last bull run, for example, yes, based on the total, it did rally up, of course, and it crashed. But again, to me, at least the big top 100 coins, this is where a lot of money was made. Now this, anybody that was there in the bear market bought the lows, of course, bought some of the obscure coins. At last cycle, it was a lot of NFT stuff, gaming things. I'm not saying that this wasn't amazing gains. In fact, those that actually knew what they were doing and bought during the bear market, they made most of their money here. But this was retail. The second pump, in my opinion at least, and there's data that can support this, this was the retail pump. Well, same thing here. A lot of money's been made to this point by people that accumulated the right coins, or basically anything really, at least if they've sold during the March pump during here. But this is still, in my opinion, mostly people that were already in crypto. And retail is going to be the catalyst for this next explosion to the upside, which, you know, maybe we see a breakout at some point of this little falling wedge, a flip of some of this resistance back here, and then we're off to the races. So I'm trying to position myself right now. Again, I talked about this earlier in the video, my whole formula thing, and I still think that this is all, you know, going to be relevant. Now, we don't know, and I mentioned this in some of my videos, but I want to point it out real quick. I don't know necessarily that positions, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, 5 through 10 are going to get the same money distribution from a percent-wise as they did last bull run. In fact, I think it'd be foolish of me to say it's going to get the exact same. I mean, it's going to flow differently, just like how this bull run already. I pointed out earlier that positions 5, 6, and 7 actually have more money at this point than 5, 6, and 7 had last bull run, but 11, 12, 13, or whatever it was, had less, you know, but together it was the same, really. So that's kind of why I still think this is relevant. And, you know, you also have to be able to kind of guess what position your coin might end up roughly. But this is only meant to be something that I can use to give me an idea of what's logical from a price perspective on coins. I'm not going to take, you know, profits. Let's just say that Cardano, for example, now that's not a coin that I've been super bullish on, and doesn't appear most people have been based on its price so far this bull run, but I think it's at like number 12. Last bull run at this point, it was at number 12. It's a good example of a coin that's kind of just stayed where it was from a ranking perspective. If it was a coin that I was projecting that Bitcoin hits 100K, that it might get a $35.9 billion market cap, it's not like I would wait till that to take all my profits. I would start taking profits as it went up, right? This is just me getting an idea of what's possible, or what's realistic, I guess is the better word. That way, I'm not stuck holding on to bags at the end of this bull run. Is it possible that I'm holding on to something too long? Of course. That'd be that crystal ball thing again we talked about, where it'd be nice if you could predict exactly when the top was going to happen. But I'm not trying to. You know, I'm trying to make money on the way up, which I think right now is the calm before the storm. I believe that was actually the thumbnail that I made for this, if I uploaded it correctly anyways, to this live stream. But that's what I wanted to point out, is that, in my opinion, especially, let's look up the fear. We had a good pump today, not today, last night it pumped a little bit. I'm guessing the fear and greed index probably went up a little bit. I know it's definitely not in extreme fear anymore, but it's probably still either in fear. Yeah, so it's still fear. It's 30. Yesterday it was 28, so we're still hanging out in fear. And, you know, typically that's the time to be looking at crypto. I mean, especially in a bull market, which I think it's safe to say we're still in. You know, the overall trend is up for the past year and a half, or at least hasn't really been down. And so, you know, as long as you believe the 4-year cycle is intact, this is the time to be buying. And I'll be using personally my formula here to kind of decide what potential gains are possible. But really, the further we dip, or like recently altcoins have been taking a big hit. Well, if you could pick the right coins that you believe in, which is we're going to transition into next, I still believe that these market cap evaluations are going to hold very, very, very accurate, at least to a degree. Like you look at, for example, what I put here for Bitcoin dominance, 47.5%. Well, historically, at least last bull run anyways, it was lower than that. When Bitcoin topped, which was November 10th, let's find that real quick, of 2021, there it is, right around here. It was only like, it was actually under 40%, right around 40%. So this is me actually being, I guess what the word safe. I'm being safe to make sure, once again, that I'm not stuck holding onto coins. But realistically, even these market cap projections that I have here are probably low, at least a little bit. And the other thing I want to point out, if you decide to take the time to take some of your altcoins and apply them to this formula and some of these positions and these market caps, is that not only is my Bitcoin dominance projection, I think, on the safer side. I don't believe Bitcoin's going to occupy 47.5% of the overall market cap when we peak. Once retail and stuff comes in and they're throwing money at the altcoins, I think it'll be closer to 45, probably a little bit lower. But the other thing you got to think about is a lot of these coins are going to peak at a different time than Bitcoin. In fact, the majority of them will. The coins that never get attention will peak when Bitcoin peaks because they'll just get slowly drug up with Bitcoin. And of course, they'll just peak when Bitcoin peaks, and that'll be that. But your big coins that are anywhere from like positions 10 through 30, for example, so large cap coins, they're going to have their own heyday. They're going to have their own moment, whether it's a DeFi that's running, so the DeFi coins are going, whether memes get another opportunity this bull run, we'll see. Gaming might have another opportunity, but definitely things like AI. And so, as we talk about, to end today's live stream anyways, the right coins to be in, this is really going to come down to doing your research. Now, I could tell you some of the coins that I've been looking at, that I've been buying during these dips. I haven't bought a ton. I have a lot that I'm looking at, but the coins that I've mainly purchased so far have been Ondo Finance. I know that Joe, I don't know if he's still here by chance, but he's put out some videos about it. He's talked about it a few times on his live streams. That's Trade Intuition again. Check out his channel if you haven't. If you just joined the stream and you're just hearing me talk about it now, that's Trade Intuition. I know he's pretty big on Ondo, but I've got Ondo, I've got Cas. I like Teo. Now Teo, which is BitTensor, hasn't done a whole lot. It might be one of those kind of sleeping giants, I guess, or maybe it just never does anything, and that's fine. That's why I spread my money between at least a few coins and just hope, to get a few winners. But Teo is one that I've been big on ever since this bull run started, and it had a huge run. It peaked a little early, I guess, but it's been as high as over $750, and right now it's at under 300. So I mean, you're looking at even a 2.5x almost just to get back to its previous all-time high. And I have price projections for this coin going much higher. In fact, my own personal price projection, if you can see it on the screen, was that it would end up around position 20, which I'm not entirely sure where it's at now, but obviously that was me predicting it was going to go up quite a bit and end up around $2,175. So that's a coin that I'm big on. I still think some of the DeFi coins could do well. In fact, if one of the guys that Rigo, I like to bring Rigo up just because the guy, he's in my Telegram group, and he's pretty knowledgeable as far as what people he follows that he gets advice from, or which YouTubers he follows that are credible. And one of the guys that he follows, which I believe is Crypto Pain or Pain of Crypto or something. Let's look it up so that I'm at least giving him his proper. I mean, he's got a lot of subscribers compared to me, but just so I'm not misquoting who he is. Crypto Pain of Crypto. I think that's his name. It's this guy, Pain of Crypto, 12,000 subscribers. I'd check out his channel. He puts out a lot of really good videos. In fact, this recent one he put out is the one that's giving me this idea. He talks about, in fact, I think there's a screen picture of it right there. That's CRV, Curve DAO. And, he's talking about how, some of the coins that have run to this point, could they still run? Could there still be a lot of gains in those coins? Yes. But if you wanted to maybe put a little money in some of the ones that haven't, that he still thinks has potential, and I agree, it's some of these DeFi coins like Curve, which is CRV. Let me see if I can pull up its chart. And you're going to see when we pull this up that similar to those ones we brought up earlier in the video, in fact, even worse maybe, it hasn't done anything. Let me get rid of this, it's old, but that was last bull run's TA. But I mean, if you look at this thing, it's actually, if you would have thought this was the bear market lows, right, which was around 40 cents, we're not even at, we're below that. It's recently lost its bear market support and is actually below that. So, you know, why would this be a coin worth looking at? Well, because there's a chance that once retail enters and, you know, the different sectors of coins start having their rally, DeFi, in my opinion at least, at some point is going to have a run. It hasn't been popular to this point. It's obviously been meme coins, some gaming here and there, a little bit of AI, but could you potentially see a good gain out of this coin, even if it just, let's just look at like a fib retracement. Let's just say from its bear market lows, it even just rallies up to this resistance here, you know, the 236, for example. From here, that's still, you know, 550%. And realistically, that, if the bull market gets going, again, which I believe it will, that's really not that crazy. You know, that'll be really a terrible performing coin compared to what people would have thought, especially anybody that bought Curve anywhere last bull run when Bitcoin was breaking all-time highs. So anybody that bought it at $3 or $4, you know, they're way in the red right now. But if you don't have any of this coin, you're just looking for a coin that might be worth putting a small allocation to, these are some of the coins that are worth looking at. Even Cardano that I brought up earlier, I've never been that bullish on it, but only because I don't know fundamentals, and I know this is one of those coins that has like a religious cult following, it feels like, and I don't know why. So you know, but if I educated myself on it, maybe I would understand. But because it has a religious cult following, at some point you got to anticipate that there's going to be a new wave of retail that comes in. It's on Coinbase, it's on Binance, of course, it's on all the major exchanges, so it's easy for retail to access. Could this coin do something bigger at some point? Could it even just rally back up to something like its 236? And I actually have price projections higher than that. Let me find them real quick. Actually, that would have been probably on the MEXC chart. Let's see. Yeah, so see, I had people comment. Of course, like I said, this coin has such a big following that when I put the video out about this coin, it received more hate than, you know, anything, because I'm basically saying this beloved coin that everybody, you know, thinks is the greatest thing ever wasn't going to do that well. Well, I mean, I'm not right yet, and if it actually does better than I put here, that's awesome, especially for anybody that's holding it, because I want everybody to make money, you know. So if anybody that bought this coin last bull run, you know, I hope for their sake that it has a huge rally at some point. But even my projections, which was just it staying where it is, not necessarily performing any better or worse, but just flowing along with the bull market, we had, you know, projections of back up to $1, which at the time when I made the video, that was only a 2x, but right now it'd actually be a 3x, and then $1.50, which of course would be a 5x. And this is a large cap coin, you know, so there's still potential, in my opinion, if Bitcoin gets anywhere near 100K, and that's all it'd take, this will easily be a coin that will 5x, right? And for large caps, safer bets, so to speak, that's kind of what you're looking for. Outside of that, you know, the other coins that I mentioned, you're looking for coins from this bull run that fit some of the narratives. But if they're newer coins, you know, you do need to do your own research and really pay attention to when token unlocks are happening. I mentioned Ondo, for example. Before we kind of wrap up today's video, just while we're on that topic, let me use it as an example of a coin that you really need to pay attention to its unlocks. So if we put Ondo Finance vesting schedule in Google, there's a few websites that I usually use, but if CryptoRank.io has it, which this one does, you could click on that, and it's going to have a tab here that says vesting. And most of the coins that, you know, that are during this bull run, as long as they're a coin that has vesting, you know, that actually have that had an IDO and people, you know, bought some of the coin back when it launched, blah blah blah, and it has investors and all of that, they're going to have a vesting schedule, and you want to look at that to see when a bunch of the coins are going to unlock, because that's the thing about some of the dinosaur coins that make them a little bit safer, is at least if they've been around for 4 or more years, the majority of their tokens have been unlocked, and so you're not going to see a giant unlock on a lot of those coins. Whereas a coin like Ondo, right now it says only 14.4% of it's actually unlocked. And when I made the video with my price predictions for this video, I pointed out that if you come down here where it says unlock events, I don't remember how far you got to go. I want to say it's the beginning of 2025. At some point, it goes from this little 14.4% or just right around 1.44 billion Ondo, if you can see that on my screen. Then in the beginning of 2025, all of a sudden, you're going to see it jumps up significantly. And depending on how crypto is doing at that time, or even no matter what, it's going to take a little bit of a hit in the short term, because there's going to be people that bought this at lower prices, most likely, unless we're into a brand new bear market or something at that point. You're going to see a lot of these get sold off. And so, you know, if you bought this at a lower price than it is now, or you're buying it now and there's a pump towards the end of the year, this might be a coin that you'd want to play two ways. You either want to just trust it and I guess hold it, or maybe you take a bunch of profits right before they unlock, and then if it dumps, or if at least if it pulls back or consolidates, maybe you buy more and wait until the end of 2025. See how it, give it some time. I still haven't found it, have I? This whole time I'm talking, I'm scrolling, but we're gonna find it eventually here. Like I said, it has a ton of unlocks. I don't know if you've been reading this as I've been talking, but basically they're unlocking 53.7 thousand, which is a very small amount of Ondo every single day, basically. So that's why there's so many days here that I'm having to scroll through. And then all of a sudden, when I finally find it, here we go, right here. So on January 18th, so you go from the 17th, which is the last smaller amount of 53.7K, and then all of a sudden on the 18th of January, boom, it goes all the way from 1.45 billion up to more than double at 3.39 billion. So, you know, that's a huge amount of coins that are going to unlock at that point. Now, it says that that's private sales. That'll be a lot of what would probably sell off. That would be people that bought it at significantly lower prices, most likely. Again, unless we're in a bear market or something again in the next, 6 months. But assuming that we're not, then there's going to be people that sell this coin. So you gotta pay attention to that. When I say pick the right coins, that's part of it. You're gonna need to do a little research. We'll talk about this more on my next live stream, because I'm actually just going to dive deeper into the coins that I brought up today and start talking a little bit about what makes them bullish to me, why they're the coins that I'm putting more of my, allocating more of my money to. I'll even talk about some of the coins that I'm currently holding that I'm maybe not as bullish on, that I'm possibly looking to move out of, at least, maybe the amount that I'm holding in them, because I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. There was a coin that I put on one of my videos recently, 5 coins, I think it was 6 coins I'm buying now, and I had dog with hat. Well, a lot of that was based on, number one, meme coins, which I'm not entirely sure they'll rally again as hard, at least as they did already this bull run. And number two, that coin's still not on a major exchange. Now, if it gets on a major exchange, that's a game changer, right? Especially if memes have their moment. But at the moment, I have quite a bit of whiff, or dog with hat. And I'm not sure I want to be as heavily invested in that one as maybe, some other coins. So doesn't mean that I've lost all faith in it or something. If you did buy that or you watched my video on that, that's not what I'm saying. But, you have to be willing to, I think I mentioned audible in one of my recent videos. You got to be willing to audible, which in sports just means change your play. Sometimes things change as the bull run goes. The narratives change. What you might have thought 6 months ago was the best coin or sector of coins ever, that might change. So I don't really see that anybody in chat's had anything new to say. Again, guys, if you're watching this, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already, please, like and subscribe. I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover today. So, on your way out, if you enjoyed the content or you want to see more live streams out of me, like and subscribe, leave me a comment. I love reading comments and seeing what people think. Give me some suggestions on maybe what I could talk about on future live streams. Other than that, I hope everybody is having a good Tuesday. Like I said, I will put this video, I'll upload it here in a couple hours. There'll be timestamps, so if you made it this far or you joined in at the end, you want to see what I talked about, but you're maybe don't want to sit and have to watch the entire thing, wait for me to post the video. You can check out the timestamps and whatnot. So other than that, we'll catch you guys later. And as I always say on the end of all my videos, and no different now on a live stream, remember to invest in yourself.